Everybody, my name is Jan Rather. I'm the Infrastructure Engagement Manager for the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. I'm using this mic for the folks that are joining us on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, thank you for being here as well. We're going to be talking tonight about the West Pittsburgh Mobility Plan. This is the draft plan review meeting. Kevin will give you the longer history, but a few of you may have joined us for previous meetings in this room or in Sheridan or one of our community walkthroughs. Real quick, tonight's agenda, we'll do some welcome and introductions. Kevin will go over the plan. We'll cover what we heard through the community engagement. We'll go over the existing conditions, the recommendations, priority projects and timeframes, and then we'll get to your feedback and close with information about the feedback deadline for anybody that couldn't join us tonight. So real quick, joined by Kevin Brown, Principal Planner at DOMI, Panini Chowdhury, our Senior Planning Manager, myself. Jacqueline Kowalski's not here tonight, but is a planner with Allegheny County, and my counterpart, Jacob Williams, also with DOMI. I've also got two representatives of District 2. Leanne, the Councilwoman's Chief of Staff, is in the room with us, and I believe I saw a Councilwoman joined us online. Real quick, our community meeting norms. First and foremost is your physical and psychological safety. We'll cover that in a second. Encourage you to be here to listen, to learn about the plan, what went into the plan. If you have thoughts about the plan, we're here to hear them, so disagree respectfully. Kevin, maybe you can hit admit on that, letting that person in. Appreciate difference of opinion, so if you see something you disagree with, be open to new ideas, be present so that you can share this with your neighbors and communities as well. Going back to the physical and psychological safety, I think most folks came in this door, which is also where you'll exit. For whatever reason that door is blocked, there's another exit through the room there. First aid and AED are also located over there. If somebody's experiencing a medical emergency, I'll be the one to call 911, so just get my attention. If I'm experiencing a medical emergency, I ask that one of you call 911 for me. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Kevin, and I'm going to take over Zoom.
Great. Thanks so much, Jan. Thanks everybody who's here in the room with us, and to everyone who's online as well. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate your involvement in the process so far and your continued advocacy and work to make the plan a success. So a little overview of the plan. The plan covers 4 neighborhoods in West Pittsburgh: Elliott, Esplin, Sheridan, and West End. Those aren't in geographic order, they're in alphabetical order. And the plan is funded by Allegheny County by way of the CDC through a REACH grant as a part of the Healthy People Active Nation program, which plays into the plan objectives, plan goals there, which are to improve the safety for residents of these 4 neighborhoods, people walking, biking, driving, using transit. Looking to close infrastructure gaps like sidewalks, missing sidewalk sections, deteriorated sidewalk sections, missing ADA ramps, that sort of stuff. And then to strengthen connections both within and between the different neighborhoods in the project area. And to support a healthier and more active lifestyles for the people of these neighborhoods. And then also to document community preference and which will help to pursue funding for implementing these projects in the future. So far, we're in the 3rd phase of engagement right now. So far we've done the first 2 phases, which started in the spring of 2025. We did a series of walk audits or community walkthroughs, as well as a lengthy online engagement process through the Engage page. Our community walkthroughs were there was a Safe Routes to School walkthrough around the Langley Elementary area, and then also 5 additional walk corridors throughout the project area, one in each neighborhood at least. And we also had 2 public meetings, a listening session and a planning workshop, which was right here in this room. The listening session was at the Healthy Active Living Center in Sheridan. And we also attended a youth workshop at the Hope for Tomorrow summer camp this year, and talked with the kids about their perception of the mobility network within the neighborhoods and how they use the sidewalks and the streets, how they get to and from school, how they go to after-school programs, that sort of thing, and tried to get their vision for what a truly mobile and active network would look like. Across the engagement phases, we encountered 5 key themes that kept coming up over and over again, and those are listed here on the screen. Safety, first and foremost, and then accessibility and maintenance. Accessibility and maintenance kind of go hand in hand. The accessibility people were referring to mostly in the plan were barriers to access, so being able to get up onto the sidewalk when you're trying to cross the street and there's no ADA ramp, or being able to go down the street and successfully navigate it because the road is all chopped up or the sidewalk is missing or overgrown or crumbling in certain areas. And then additionally, connectivity and wayfinding. So connectivity being that element of getting to and from within the different neighborhoods, to and from the destinations you want to go to. And going hand in hand with that is placemaking and wayfinding. So if you're going to the park, being able to tell where the park is without having to put it into your phone or to know ahead of time. Existing conditions overview here. There were several challenges that jumped out across our data analysis as well as the community engagement. Primarily the ones toward the bottom I think are more important here. The discontinuous unmaintained sidewalks, key locations that lack safe crossings, but then in general, a lot of disconnection. That was something we heard over and over again. Despite these neighborhoods being incredibly close to downtown Pittsburgh, they feel disconnected from the rest of the city because there are physical barriers both to mobility and to connection to and from important amenities. So getting to the grocery store over in McKees Rocks is challenging because you got to take the bus downtown to go back over to the Rocks when it's actually only a couple of miles away. Which is really frustrating for a lot of people. Additionally, on the safety element, several corridors within the project area are on the city's high injury network. Chartiers, Steuben, and Stanhope are all on the high injury network, which is a very real problem, and it's not a abstract thing you look at on the map that actually impacts your safety day to day when you're trying to navigate those streets. You're trying to walk to and from places or take the bus. But there were some positives in the existing conditions as well. There are some really good, strong building blocks in these 4 neighborhoods. There's a dense street grid in each of the neighborhoods, which will enable, good walkable distances. There's great transit access via the busway and a variety of other transit stops. Some incoming trails that are coming soon, and then great signature destinations like the West End Overlook. Oh, did it not take? Oh, okay, because you were moving the thing around. Okay. In the plan itself, there were 3 recommended themes that rose to the top, and you're going to hear a lot of them over and over again in this presentation because that was a lot of the plan is these 3 items. Safety, connectivity, placemaking, and wayfinding. So as for on the safety front, improving intersection safety, traffic calming, speed reduction, dedicated pedestrian and bike space, high visibility crosswalks, and then daylighting intersections. And for connectivity, developing community connector corridors, enabling low stress walking and biking connections, enabling trail connections, finding projects that allow equitable mobility for people of all ages and all abilities, and then transit access improvements. And then lastly, wayfinding and placemaking. each of the neighborhoods in the city has a gateway signs like "Welcome to Esplin," "Welcome to Sheridan," and throughout the plan, we noticed that some of those signs are better than others in these neighborhoods. And there are some recommendations around improving those, improving wayfinding to get you to and from important community destinations, and then activating special places like Kiwanis Corner and the area around the Sheridan Busway Station and Langley Elementary, which has a lot of potential to be a really great community space. And we'll cover that later too. Throughout, or in the planning process also, we noticed 5 key priority corridors. And these are range in timeframes that were selected, that were prioritized out from the in the planning process. And those corridors will offer the most return from targeted investment. And Chartiers was the top on that list, and then Steuben, Wabash, Lorenz, and Stafford. Stafford Street being one that we looked at during the Safe Routes to School walkthrough, and we heard from community residents that not only is it a route that kids take to school, but it's also a walking route that a lot of people take to get down to the grocery store if they need to walk to get something over in the Rocks. And then of all of the projects that were generated in the planning process were prioritized based on this prioritization calculation. So they were given a weight based on each of how they fell on each of these categories. So crash history, did they fall on the high injury network and have crashes documented within the last 5 years? What's their proximity to key destinations? So that's schools, libraries, parks, grocery stores, senior centers like the one we're in right now. Transit accessibility, were they within a quarter mile of a transit stop or along the busway or a bus route? And then an additional 20% from community feedback. So if we got a lot of community feedback about specific locations or specific projects, that was factored in additionally on top of the other factors as well. So we'll look at all the projects here. We won't go through each one of them individually, just because we want to allow for some time at the end of the meeting to get feedback from you all, but also just to not bore you with a rundown of every single project in the plan. But the short-term projects identified here on this map, which is all of these are just screenshots from the project, from the plan, which is available on the Engage page. But the Chartiers Avenue connector, which I mentioned earlier, the Steuben Street Community Connector, and the Wabash Street Community Connector are all listed under short-term projects, meaning that it is our intention to get to work on those projects within the next 0 to 3 years. We have a few. Could you bump the little window down a little, Jan? Perfect. Yeah, that's great. We have a couple of the priority projects listed here. There were, I believe, a total of around 20 projects in the plan. And of those projects, 6 of them were identified as priority projects, meaning that when we scored them based on the numbers I showed you earlier, they ranked at the top of that list. And the Steuben Street connector is one of those. Oh, no, you're good. So the Steuben Street connector is a project. A lot of the projects in this plan cross all 3 of the categories. So they involve both a safety element, a connectivity element, and a wayfinding and placemaking element. Within this one, some of the safety elements involved are traffic calming. So identifying and implementing design changes to reduce vehicular speeds and signals transitioning into the West End neighborhood when you're coming on Steuben from the West End Bridge area. Pedestrian enhancements, so redesigning the streetscape to prioritize foot traffic. West End has a really great downtown Main Street area that could really benefit from some changes to prioritize foot traffic and make it less of a throughway thoroughfare where people speed. We heard from several different residents that live on Steuben Street that their house was actually hit by a car, which is never a good thing, and you're clearly driving too fast if you're driving into a house here in Pittsburgh. Sidewalk maintenance is another one that came up pretty much everywhere we went on this project. Increasing the frequency of repairs and making sure that the sidewalks are clear, unobstructed, and wide enough to carry foot traffic. And then transit infrastructure upgrades, so improving bus stops, adding shelters where they meet the threshold to get a shelter, adding street furniture, and dedicated pedestrian crossings. So if there's a bus stop there, trying to, if possible, add a crosswalk in to make it easier to get to and from the bus. And then wayfinding and branding or placemaking are added as well. So new gateway signage. If you go down Wabash a little ways this way, there's one there. But where you really come into the west end on Steuben Street, there isn't a very clear idea of, you know, what neighborhood am I entering? Where am I? All you see are the big highway signs overhead. So establishing a little bit of a community input, our community spirit about the where you are and what neighborhood you're in. And then this thing never works. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Jan. So the street we're on right now, Wabash Street, is another one of the priority projects. And this runs all the way from Steuben to McCartney Street. And at the end of Steuben Street is the Jerusalem, at the end of Wabash and Steuben is Jerusalem Baptist Church, where Pastor Pugh, who I don't think is here with us tonight, but he might be online, who's been very helpful in the planning process here as well, is located. This project involves several intersection upgrades, pedestrian safety upgrades as well, improving crossings, improving ADA ramps, and then changing some signal timings to make sure that they can accommodate pedestrians and improve the flow of traffic. And then upgrading infrastructure, so upgrading signals, and then connecting into the potential incoming trolley trail and Sawmill Run further down, and really activating all of the amenities that are on Wabash Street down here by improving the pedestrian connectivity and the amenities to get there, to really expand that walkable feel of the downtown West End area. In the medium-term projects are Stafford Street, which is what I mentioned, the road that goes down to the Rocks, that goes down towards Stadium Street and then into Esplin to get you over to the grocery store. When we did the community walkthrough around Langley Elementary School, we noticed there's a picture later on, but a lot of, or maybe we already saw it, but a lot of missing sidewalks in there, either because of landslides that washed them out or just lack of maintenance, so they're crumbling. And additionally, the South Main Street bike route and Lorenz Avenue Community Connector. But the biggest one of the ones on here is the one I was referencing earlier, which is that activating the area around Langley Elementary School and the busway station. So down here, the yellow there is the entrance down into the Sheridan busway station. And this area is a really big intersection right now. It's just a big expanse of pavement. So the community members had expressed a desire to improve the public amenity spaces here. So there's already Kiwanis Corner, which a lot of hard work went into getting that funded and set up with the city and the Kiwanis organization. And the desire here is to improve the pedestrian experience in this area and to utilize some existing public amenities as flex spaces. So building in the short term, building out some of these just empty spaces right now that allow cars to really speed through this intersection and make it incredibly dangerous to cross some of those really wide crosswalks there. So building some either via flex posts or paint curb extensions to slow down traffic, and then utilizing the parking lot in front of Langley as a flex space that, when it's needed, can be used as a community amenity, but all other times will essentially just remain a parking lot, which it's used for currently and is, we've heard, a vital community asset. So we don't want to take that away, but we want to be able to activate it when people want to do something that involves bringing the community together. They could activate that if chosen to not just be a parking lot. And that could be done through a variety of different treatments. It could be paint on the asphalt, something like that. But in addition to what I mentioned about generally just slowing the speed of traffic down, there are discussion about enhancing the entrance to the busway, clearing it so it's less of a tunnel and more increased lighting, better legibility of where you are when you come out of the busway station. And this would all be tested. So it would be short term, would be sort of trying things out and seeing how they work. And then if the community likes it, it could be made permanent with concrete later on. But the idea here is to bring a little life into the business district down there around the school, and to really activate the area around the school by doing some design changes to the roadway to make it much more pedestrian friendly and easier to find when you're going to or coming from the busway. Several long-term projects were identified as well. These are a lot further out than the others. These would be 5+ years, and those are some of those trail connections that we mentioned before. So Chartiers Creek Trail, West Pittsburgh Trail, which I think is also called the Sawmill Run Connector Trail, as well as additional regional trail connections into the Three Rivers Heritage Trail, etc. And we've mentioned quite a bit in here wayfinding and placemaking, which can be a little bit of a confusing term. Wayfinding can mean anything from signs that point you to the park, or signs that tell you, you know, Route 6 is this way. So it's here we're talking more about like identifying landmarks and identifying community amenities, and help making them more visible, bringing them up to be more visible so people know where they are. Neighborhood gateways were identified as one of the key elements that could really go a long way to improving the neighborhood look and feel. And directional wayfinding in select places. There isn't a specific set city, what's the word I'm trying to think of for this? Standard right now for those. So until one is selected, the idea is to just maintain the ones that are there and update them as needed. I'm sure some of you have seen a variety of different faded and outdated signs around the neighborhoods. And then park entrances. So improving the park entrances to show clearly where the park entrance is, because that was one that we heard quite a bit, was that it can be quite hard to find the park entrance, and to give some idea of what's in there just from there. And then additionally building on those special places that I mentioned before, like Kiwanis Corner and that area around the busway station, or pulling people down toward these amenities on Wabash Street through active transportation means. And there's a list there on the side of the gateway locations. And this is the map of all the placemaking locations as well. We can jump back to this if people have questions, and we can zoom into it as well if we need to. But most importantly, why we're here is because your voice matters in all of this. This is a draft right now. And so the feedback that we get in the room tonight, and then also through the Engage platform over the next few weeks, will go a long way to shape the final plan. So we have some time here. We figured we would ask you all, do you, I don't know if everyone in the room has had a chance to take a look at the plan online yet, but would you say that the project priorities that we went over here reflect what matters most to your neighborhoods? And then also, what placemaking ideas might strengthen your neighborhood's identity? Does anyone have any thoughts or questions right now?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm going to pass around the mic.
Oh, okay. So everyone online.
Yep,
can
so
hear.
folks online
Yeah,
can hear.
Absolutely.
Have you had any meetings with the registered community organization from over here?
Which over here meaning West End?
Well, yeah. How many registered community organizations do we have over here?
I don't think there is one in West End, is there?
Yes, there
Jan?
is.
There's the Greater West End
Crafton Heights last year. They merged with Crafton Heights.
Okay, yeah. I've reached out to David from
No,
the
the
Greater
registered
West End
community
Community
organization
Alliance.
over here is called Jasmine Nairi Homes Incorporated.
Oh, in Sheridan, yes.
No, I understand that's the registered community organization for everybody over here. Is that true or false?
That is, I don't believe that that's correct.
I don't think that they represent every one of the 4 neighborhoods here, but I did reach out to them and did not hear a reply from them. But for a specific meeting, but in the plan there is they did meet with us as a part of a neighborhood partners group that we had that started out.
Well, who met with you?
I want to say her name is. Do you have that pulled up?
Christy Porter.
Not Christy Porter, no.
We can get back to you.
Yeah, I can get back to you with the name of the exact person that joined
It's
us
my
in those
understanding that
meetings.
there's only one community organization over here, and that's that one.
That might be correct, but it doesn't represent every neighborhood.
In District 2, there's 2 that I know of, Jasmine Irie and the MWCDC.
And the what?
MWCDC.
So one half of District 2 has one community registered organization, and Mount Washington has one community. So the council district is basically 2 separate entities. Is that right?
What about Sheridan? They still meet every month, so they register?
No.
I guess my question would be, what is the further question that goes along with this? Because each,
Well, I see an organization that's speaking for me that never comes to any meetings.
Well, that's why we're here tonight, is so that you have a chance to speak for yourself, but also to, share your thoughts on the plan as well.
Somebody online also commented that when
Does this have anything, does this plan include the transit-orientated development for Sheridan, or is that a different entity?
No, that's a different initiative entirely, and that it's not a DOMI project, so I can't really speak to that. But I appreciate your feedback, and I'll follow up on your question.
Real quick, for folks online too, if you want to type your questions in the chat, I can read them off in the room for folks. Is there another question in the room?
There were 2, yeah. Her
We'll go
and the
here and
fellow
then
in the back, yeah.
you in the back.
I just have a question as it when we are talking about traffic calming on Steuben and on Wabash, are there traffic studies being done to find out how that impacts response times for public safety?
There would be, right now, we're just coming up with, we have, the process of this plan was to come up with the project ideas, and then as they move into design, traffic studies will be done to assess, which type of implementations, which type of treatments would be best suited for each location based on their unique needs. So obviously, we coordinate extensively with public safety, so public safety response times are very important to us, so we wouldn't do anything that would make it hard for public safety to get to people in their time of need. Yes, sir.
Yes, hello. Are we on?
Yeah, it's on. It's just going into the computer.
Oh, okay, right
so.
there. Yes, when you're talking about the intermediate projects with the Chartiers Creek Trail, which I think is great, and the West End Trail, I'm assuming maybe that's the seldom seen. I'm not sure. I was going to ask later.
that one
But
is,
my
yeah.
question is, when you're designing them, I understand it's not right away, but in the next few years, are you looking to connect them to more regional trails like the Panhandle Trail, the Montour Trail, the Great Allegheny Passage Trail, to make it, there are people, I live on Steuben Street, and a couple times a year, just by chance, so you can imagine there's more.
Yeah.
I've seen crusty British people, a guy from Australia, paddling all the way across the country, literally going across America, and they start in Washington, D.C., on the Great Allegheny Passage Trail,
Yeah.
and in Pittsburgh, and then they're on their own. And if we do this right, we could help connect them and get them onto the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail that runs along the Missouri Basin and down in Missouri and stuff like that. Is that part of the planning?
That would be part of the process of the planning of those or the development of those as we moved into implementation for those. But right now, it's more just coming up with the how to connect the network. So there would be elements, of wayfinding and placemaking within those as well when they do come to going into design. But yeah, that would be critical to really connect it all together, because that is a big part of, Pittsburgh's identity, as well as utilizing all these really amazing natural assets, trail assets, riverfront assets, et cetera. So.
I'm going to ask a question
Yeah.
from Zoom. Do you mind
Online.
if you mic?
Yeah.
All right, so on Zoom, Jeb Feldman says, there's a glaring opportunity to create a nice space for Esplin along Chartiers Creek beside Stanhope Street around the Duquesne Light letdown area. Stanhope Street also screams out for improvements along the short stretch of road that is enormously overbuilt. Does anything in this plan look to make improvements there? So I think there's two parts. There's the Chartiers Creek beside Stanhope Street, and then Stanhope Street generally.
Yeah. The plan does address Stanhope Street, but I don't believe that it. Can you go back to the project map for me, Jan? No. Yeah. The Linden Street Gateway there, that is part of a larger project that addresses Stanhope Street, but I don't believe that there is anything addressing the Chartiers. Oh, there is a Chartiers Creek Trail. Sorry, I stand corrected, yes. But that's a much longer project and would require significant funding, but it also fits in. Several of these projects were also dovetail with existing projects from previous planning work done by Department of City Planning as well. So Chartiers Creek Trail fits in with that as a part of their larger effort to improve the park area there, which is an extension of Sheridan Park. Yeah, Jacob.
Gotcha. So it seems like there's overlap with Steuben Street and the Bike Pittsburgh that want to do like in the West End, the bike trail. So do you guys communicate with that?
Yeah, we coordinate. I was actually on a meeting earlier today with Gavin. So we are in communication with them, and the consultant that's working on this plan is actually the same consultant that's helping them with that as well. So we've been in close coordination, discussing some of the work around activating the Main Street area in the West End, and improving access to the trail network there so people can do some active transportation, and then also improving the pedestrian experience and the safety along Steuben Street.
There's another question online. This is a sort of long one, so I'll read it and then try and summarize. Looking at the plan for the bike lanes on South Main Street, it seems like there's a very possible connection that can be made to Chartiers Ave. If the bike lanes are extended up towards Nidal Street, there's an empty lot next to 652 Main Street, just below the intersection of Chartiers and Steuben. A switch back ramp could be added there to enable a seamless connection from Chartiers into the business district and vice versa via bike or mobility scooter. Otherwise, there's no safe way to get from the business district bike lanes to the Chartiers bike lanes, meaning the network is disconnected. This would integrate into the River Life's Completing the Loop project, which would connect west neighborhoods to the north side and south side safely. Is an opportunity that should be pursued with how much more connected these neighborhoods could easily and affordably become. I think that's more of a comment than a question, but
Yeah.
Kevin,
A
yeah.
valuable one at that, so thank you to whoever added that. Yes, sir. Again, Jacob.
So how long for is the trolley trail on schedule this year to be completed?
I'm not sure off the top of my head if it's on schedule to be completed. Jan might be able to speak a little bit better to that.
Yeah, I think there's, we're working through some final utility coordination, but it should be delivered this year. I don't have the exact time frame for that. It hasn't like gone out to bid or anything like that. But I believe we're waiting on some final approvals from the utilities. So stand by for more information on that.
I thought they had that approval from PWSA.
As far as I know, there were some final coordination pieces that we're still working with PWSA.
So that'll hook up to this.
Yeah, via McCartney.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, can you help me understand a little bit better about what specifically is the West Carson Street community connector? Is that going to include just an intersection there, or are we talking about further along West Carson? And I guess a part two of this question is, you spoke earlier to the importance of connecting West Pittsburgh and the West End into the rest of the city. And so I know it's outside of the scope of this plan for the most part, but is there any intention to include even a mention of desire to coordinate with PennDOT on making West Carson Street more accessible and amenable for people who are biking, walking, using micromobility, because it is a very hostile street as it is now?
Yeah. So West Carson Street Community Connector, yeah, is not just one point on the map here. It's a series of potential improvements that would improve the pedestrian, the multimodal experience on West Carson. And we are, as we would move into that project, would be working with PennDOT to make any changes there, since that's their road. I also met with the people in McKees Rocks as well, and they have reiterated a very strong interest in improving West Carson Street for a multimodal experience. So there is a lot of regional, not just city, interest in making that improvement as well.
What does that mean?
So making it so that if you wanted to ride a bike to here, because I don't know how many people biked here tonight. I know a couple people did. It's not incredibly easy to get either here or to into Sheridan or over into Esplin on West Carson Street in anything but a car or a bus. So making it so that if you wanted to walk there or ride a bike there or a scooter, you would be able to do so without it being dangerous for you.
There's another comment online that I'll just add, and then we'll come back to the room. So Lauren had two questions. One was about collaboration with Langley. The second was also about improving the area around former PPS Stevens and Elliott. And then the last comment, some parts of Route 50, Main Street, Noblestown could use better pedestrian crossings, like the flashing yellow signs. Again, I think these are mostly comments mentioned in the chat. that there was coordination with Langley through the Safe Routes to Schools program, but we'll take these comments and definitely incorporate them.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Just want to reinforce the other gentleman's comment about West Carson. Unless South Main Street connects effectively to the river and really overcomes the conundrum that is the circle at West End Bridge, there's no way to get to the core of the region. You know, it'll always be isolated. We'll have a dead end.
Yeah.
So I just think that the efforts here for them to be truly meaningful to connecting these neighborhoods to our region and our region's strength, it is really focusing on how this connects to the river, and that there is a regional effort to understand how the West End Bridge and the river and the Main Street qualities are amenable to people, not just vehicles.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that is definitely a critical point. If you can do a lot to make the experience comfortable on Main Street, but if it doesn't connect to anything, it's much less of a regional asset. So I think that's definitely a great comment and is something that we'll keep in mind. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Well, can I follow through with that? Are you coordinating with the design of the park on either side of the West End Bridge with River Life? Because I thought that was the main goal of their project, was to connect the West End to the river. And I hope you're not working on two different lanes working together here.
I'm coordinating with them on that project, as well as have been coordinating with them on the access structures projects and other things of that nature. And I know that they are coordinating with PennDOT as well simultaneously. So we're trying to make sure all of the ducks are kept in a row so that things don't get.
I was at the same meeting that John was at, and tentatively they want to go through the tunnel that's already there.
Yep.
And loop around onto the West End Bridge through,
That is
I believe
the
it was
proposal,
River
I
Life, right,
believe,
John?
Yeah. Yep. I think that would be a valuable connection, and using something that already exists, reusing it. Yeah. Yeah, Gavin might be able to.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. So this is Gavin White from River Life. I'm the Director of Planning and Projects. Kevin was in our meeting this afternoon to provide updates to the steering committee members about that project. We are definitely working with the city and with PennDOT and are excited about pushing that project forward. I'll also add that we applied for a big federal grant for Sawmill Run Gateway as the first of the projects that we hope to get in the ground, because that's a PennDOT-owned parcel that does go through the tunnel to Steuben Street, and we're excited to see the Steuben Street traffic calming recommendations here, because it's all part of the same puzzle.
A few more comments and questions online. Casey says, on the plan it says the Chartiers Ave bike lanes would be protected. What would that look like? And then they're saying agreeing about connecting Main Street to Chartiers. And Dave also chimed in about the West End project, the meeting that Gavin just mentioned. So I think the main question though here is what would protected bike lanes on Chartiers Ave look like?
Right now, we're not 100% clear what that would look like. It could be a variety of different things, but the desire is to provide some sort of safe multimodal connection along Chartiers. I can't speak to exactly what that would look like right now until we would move into some sort of design. We would need to look at a lot of data to make sure that we're not doing something that would impact the general usability of that road, since it is kind of a spine that runs through most of the west end of Pittsburgh. So just want to reiterate that we would need to look at that pretty extensively before we made any call on exactly what type of infrastructure would be there.
Hi. My name is Leanne Wilson, for the people that
came in later. I am Kim Salanatras, Chief of Staff. She is sick, she's online, but she sent me some comments that she wanted to share with everyone. I implored her not to share the love tonight here and get everyone else
We appreciate
sick.
that.
She just wanted to hope that everyone keeps an open mind about the possibility of connectivity in our district. That's always been something that District 2 struggled with. We don't have the big main roads that other districts throughout the city have that link the neighborhoods. And this is really an opportunity for our district to have that connectivity throughout the neighborhoods. And it's a great opportunity to showcase our neighborhoods in our business districts throughout District 2.
A couple more comments
Yeah.
online. And just want to appreciate Leanne sharing those comments from the councilwoman. So Lauren says people may be apprehensive about how implementation will affect their daily life in accessing routes and out of the west side. Just a thought to consider. And then Casey says, is the goal, I think this is going back to Chartiers, is the goal to have it be a single continuous bike lane or have protected sections?
To speak to the first point, which I think was more just a comment in general, but we prioritize whenever we're doing a project not disrupting the daily life of people as much as we can, so that we're always keeping that in mind. But again, I can't speak to exactly what implementation would look like, what exact infrastructure would go in there right now. We would need to get into design on that and really dig into the data to make sure that we're doing something appropriate where we're going.
I do.
Leanne? Yeah?
Sorry, I did want to share one other thing. I saw a lot of people taking pictures tonight, and this is on the Engage PGH page.
It is, yes.
If you do want to link up to it, and if you need a paper copy, you can reach out to our office, and we can always send one out to you or email you a copy if you prefer.
We actually have a couple here too.
Yeah, and
if
there's a
someone
couple
wants
paper
to-
copies, because I explained to the guys that some of us are old school and we still like to have a paper in hand, so.
Yep. Let us know if you need a paper copy. We'll happily provide one. And the QR code on the screen there will link you right to the Engage page. And then also that's the URL if you like punching it in manually. Or you can just Google Engage Pittsburgh, West Pittsburgh, or Engage West Pittsburgh Mobility Plan, and it'll come up. And the feedback window will be open until April 3rd. We're not done. If anyone has any other comments, this was just up here, so I figured I would speak to it since it's up there. But if anyone has any additional comments, feel free to ask them. And if not, then please get some pizza, because I think there's like 5.5 whole pizzas over there. Yep.
Oh, thanks. Of the people that are actually doing the planning of these changes, do any of you live on the west, in the west? Jan?
Jan does.
On Walbridge? Okay. And how many people were on the committee?
On the
Or like, how many people are actually involved in making these types of?
Well, I didn't put exact numbers in for the number of people that attended, but I would say we had at least this many people in each room for the public meetings, and then we've had over, I think, 1,900 Engage page visits across unique visitors, and then a lot of comments on the Engage page surveys and Engage page maps. So we have had pretty robust engagement. Unfortunately, us city employees can't live in every city neighborhood, so I don't live in the West End. But no, I totally understand. Yeah.
Because, like, when you make changes like this, they do impact the residents, and there was nothing more disruptive to people who actually live in the West than the West End Circle in its current design. Nothing disrupted this area more from a resident perspective on an infrastructure issue.
Totally understandable, and well, I can't speak to the way that city and state agencies used to operate. I know now we really focus on doing a very community-led process, so we try to come to the community with anything that we have in mind and make sure that we get community buy-in before we go out and change anything, because we don't want to be telling people what's good for them. We want to be asking people what they want.
Well, Mary Beth is right about that, because that underpass was put in for one reason and one reason only, and there was no community input there. It was to get the Steelers fans out of the stadium quickly. We suffer from sitting at that red light for what seems like forever.
Yeah,
So,
I
mean,
totally understand, yeah. Jacob, could you help Ken?
Also, are you the division of city planning?
We're from the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, which is, we're, Panini and myself are planners with the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, which is essentially the city's transportation department. So we do anything in the right of way, so streets, sidewalks, driveways, all that stuff.
I was watching city council today, and somebody from city planning.
Can you pass the mic down?
Yeah, sorry.
Somebody from city planning was questioning, or the city council person was questioning how many people were actually in the Department of City Planning, and it was 56 people in city planning. It seems like an awful big number.
Well, there are 90 neighborhoods. There's a lot of people.
That was the.
There's less
that was
people
the-
than there
that
used
was
to
the
be in
reply
Pittsburgh,
from
but
the
there's still quite a
person
few of us around.
If it makes you happy, for the entire city of Pittsburgh, we have 4 transportation planners.
But we
Yeah, you have 50% of us here with you.
That work for city forestry.
If I-
We
if-
need forestry more than we.
If I could
I
return it,
don't
maybe,
disagree, yeah.
maybe just return it to the project at hand rather than, reorganizing. I want to reinforce Mary Ann's comment about what happened when the West End Circle was put in, right? So I agree with you that current road planning is engaging and is trying to balance community plans. But the prior executed plans are what destroy the community connection and have destroyed Main Street's connection to the river and to Carson Street. So that still exists through all of the plans I've seen so far. So we don't have continuity and reconnection of Main Street. We actually, ironically, haven't even addressed the traffic issues on South Main Street through all of this. So I think understanding how we get connectivity that not just addresses us from the current state and the foibles of a century of transportation planning that ignored community connection, but we actually work to correct a century of car-oriented planning and actually address the connection in a more assertive way that is not simply focused on throughput of the heavier highways. And I think that should be an objective of PennDOT as a Department of Transportation, and as well as the city. And it really needs to take a stronger stand to correct some of the issues that have disconnected these neighborhoods.
Absolutely, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. This plan in particular really focused a lot on improving active transportation and stuff, so it was less looking at traffic counts and that sort of stuff, and more looking at how to get people out of their cars and onto the sidewalks, and how to improve the sidewalk and the active transportation network to make it safe for people to choose to not use a car if they wanted to. So while there are larger legacy infrastructure choices that definitely need to be addressed, this plan is less focused on those than on other things.
We'll do another one in the room, and then I got a couple online.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hang on,
I recall from one of these public meetings about this plan many moons ago, there was potentially some funding available for a next level of design or implementation for part of this plan. If I recall, it was Chartiers, but maybe there was something else. Is there any updates about, I guess, funding broadly, but in particular, is there still some funding to take a next step soon?
There is, yeah. There is funding to take a next step. It's not tied to one specific plan, so depending on the feedback we get from the community, we have some money to move forward with one or more projects depending on where the community's priorities are, which is why it's critical that we get these. But to speak to your larger question about funding, in general, that's why it's important that we do the planning process, because going after grants, one of the biggest hurdles to getting the grant funding is being able to point to community support for a project and community desire for that project. And one of the best ways to do that is to document that in the plan. So if you can, when you're applying for a grant, point to a plan like this one and say the community worked together with us to develop this plan, and this is something that they want, this is something that they're interested in, the grant funders are a lot more likely to give you that money. So that's why we want to make sure we get a really complete idea of the feedback from the community, so that we don't miss anything that we then have to go back later and try to figure out how to justify when we're trying to get money for it. Do you want to do the online ones real quick, and then you, and then Jacob, we have another question over here after.
Kevin sort of answered this in already, but are any of the projects specified ready to go, or do they all still need details worked out? There was also a comment about the bus routes, and I think some concurrence with Ken's comments about the West End Circle. So thanks for those comments online. And then any specified projects, I'll just chime in addition to what Kevin said. The work here identified some like quick fixes, like sidewalk gap projects, traffic calming opportunities, other quick fixes that didn't necessarily make it into the plan or aren't like, something that needs to be planned out, but are things that the department's already starting to react to.
Thank you for mentioning that, Jan. Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Shamika Zaire. I'm with the Wind Gap Chartiers City Civic Club. One of the things that came up in our meeting was concerning the Ferrywood Wind Gap area. And in your project scope here, I've not heard anything about the connectivity of those two areas. We have pedestrians that walk in that area and bike in that area, trying to get from Emerald Gardens up through Wind Gap and come on to Chartiers Avenue. So in your scope of your project, have you addressed any of that information?
This project was focusing on these 4 contiguous neighborhoods. So unfortunately, Wind Gap and Ferrywood weren't included in the project area, but they could be another project in the future if there is definitely a community need. So it's always good to hear feedback from people that there are mobility needs there as well.
Lauren says they're excited that somebody from Lynn is.
Hi, my name is Sharif Zahir. I'm the president of the Wind Gap Chartiers City Civic Club, and we are currently under construction for a sidewalk that is being put up on Summerdale Street, and that's been long in the making, so we're really glad to see it. However, we have been successful in getting the traffic calming measures on Chartiers Avenue along the elementary school or the preschool, from Middletown and Chartiers all the way up to Wind Gap. And we would really like to revisit that issue of getting those same types of traffic calming, speed humps, et cetera, on Summerdale Street, because where that park is at, where we put the sidewalk in, we put it there for a reason, because of the safety of the children's and some wheelchair accessibility, so that they're not in the middle of the street, but also the cars are still flying through. So we really need to address that traffic calming issue there. Just wanted to add that on.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
And I know that just started, right, the Summerdale project, so it's exciting.
So thank you for prioritizing that project, and thanks to the councilwoman for giving the green light for it.
Any other questions, comments comments in the room? Otherwise, hopefully this works. I'll just go back to the QR code and link. I'm not speaking to the mic, so maybe Kevin.
Oh yeah, Jan's working his way back to the QR code and link. If anyone else has any questions, speak now. Oh, Jacob, could you bring this gentleman the mic?
Thank you. I saw the flush elevated continuous sidewalk intersection. I love it. I wish I saw it everywhere. So I started thinking like, well, why don't we? I'm wondering what are the challenges, what's stopping those from, or what would be stopping that from happening here or in other places?
It's definitely location specific issue. Some places it's stormwater drainage issue, that sort of thing. And it would need to be looked at as far as, there's a great expense at like moving stormwater inlets, et cetera, that sort of thing. And it's maybe not the best treatment for every location, but I know where it was referenced in this plan, it was thought to be a good solution for slowing down traffic there. Anybody else? Please eat some pizza.
Thank you, everybody.